and we'll keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries, 100 Mesozoic mysteries, looping softly, endlessly through the night. Tonight we'll drift through the silent breakup of Pangaea, the rhythmic pulse of ancient volcanic plumes, and the soft rustle of the very first feathers. There's nothing you need to do now. Just let your body sink, heavier, heavier. Feel the mattress holding you, every muscle softening, your heartbeat slowing. Thump, thump, matching the rhythm of space itself. Shoulders melting down, jaw releasing, each breath pulling you deeper, deeper into the calm, the quiet, the dark. If this helps you rest, tap subscribe, comment, and hit like, so others can find this calm too, but only if your eyes are still open. Otherwise, just drift. Now, let's drift into Mesozoic. 252 million years ago, the world exhaled, the great dying had passed, the Permian extinction, and in its wake, silence. The Triassic dawn broke over a single landmass, Pangaea, one vast continent stretching from pole to pole, wrapped in the arms of a single ocean, Panther Lhasa, the all-sea. Feel it, that ancient warmth spreading across your skin, the air thick, humid, carrying the scent of volcanic ash and new beginnings. The Siberian traps had finished their work. Those massive volcanic eruptions that had poisoned the late Permian world. But now, 200 million years before your breath, the lava fields were cooling, darkening. The atmosphere was healing, slowly, so slowly. Carbon dioxide levels still high. The world a hothouse, but life was stirring again in the warm shallows. Let your breathing match that ancient rhythm, in and out, as the first archosaurs crawled from the shadows. These were the ruling reptiles, the ancestors of everything to come. Dinosaurs, crocodiles, pterosaurs, birds, all waiting in the genetic code of these small, scaly survivors. Their legs, notice this, were beginning to shift, moving beneath their bodies rather than sprawling to the sides. Feel your own limbs growing heavy, sinking into the softness beneath you in the warm Triassic nights. Cynodonts burrowed into the red earth. These dog-toothed creatures, ancestors of all mammals, tunneling deeper, heavier, heavier, into cool darkness. They had fur. Imagine that. The first soft fur against ancient skin, and they cared for their young in underground dens. Your own warmth cocooning you now, like those buried chambers, safe, dark, still. The Esquigolasto Formation in what would become Argentina preserves those early days. Herrerasaurus stalked there, one of the most basal dinosaurs, walking upright on powerful hind legs, a predator, but small still, learning, evolving. Its eyes held that reptilian focus, but something new was stirring, a faster metabolism, a different way of moving through the world. Thump, thump, your heart slowing, matching the pace of deep time. Plateosaurs were gathering, the first great plant eaters, moving in herds across the Pangaean interior, their long necks reaching up to gymnosperm branches. Cycads and conifers dominated the forests. No flowers yet, just the quiet green of ferns unfurling, the whisper of ginkgo leaves. Ginkgo biloba, still with us today, a living fossil from this deep time, unchanged, eternal, like sleep itself. The sclerotic ring, a circle of small bones around the eye, was developing in many reptiles. This bony support allowed larger eyes, better vision, especially important for the pterosaurs beginning to experiment with the air. Their wing membranes stretched between elongated fourth fingers, a different solution than bird wings, than bat wings. A uniquely pterosaurian answer to the question of flight. Feel your own fingers relaxing, uncurling, tension floating away. 234 million years ago, something changed. The Carnian pluvial episode, a sudden shift to humid conditions across Pangaea. Rain, endless rain, for perhaps 2 million years. The world was already hot, but now it was wet. Monsoons swept across the supercontinent, carving channels, creating vast swamps. In this humid greenhouse, life exploded, diversified. The dinosaurs seized their moment, Chelophysis, slender and swift, hunted in packs through the wetlands. Hollow bones made them light, quick. Their skeletons found in mass death assemblages, dozens together, perhaps drowned in flash floods. Their bones intertwined, sinking, settling, becoming stone together. Let your mind drift now through the Tethys Ocean, that ancient sea wedged like a blue smile into Pangaea's eastern coast. Its warm waters lapped at the shores of what would become Europe, Africa, Asia, all still joined, all still one. Ammonites spiraled through those depths, their chambered shells catching the filtered sunlight. Each chamber marked a growth period, a season, a breath. Smaller relatives, the belemnites, darted like squid, their ink sacs ready to cloud the water, to hide, to vanish, like consciousness fading now. Thump, thump, heavier, heavier. Postulsicus ruled the late Triassic as an apex predator, a massive Rauisuchian, walking on 4 legs but capable of rearing up on 2. Imagine its shadow across the red mudflats, 12 feet tall, armoured with osteoderms, bony plates beneath the skin. Evolution was experimenting, trying different body plans, different solutions, and in the end, the dinosaur's upright posture would win. But not yet. Not yet. The Newark supergroup, layers of rock along what would become the eastern United States, preserves footprints from this time. Ichnology, the study of trace fossils, reads these ancient trackways like stories. 3-toed prints pressing into mud, tail drag marks, the pattern revealing gait, speed, behaviour. Someone walked here 200 million years ago and then vanished, leaving only the impression, the ghost, sinking into stone. Early Mammaliaforms were diversifying in the shadows, tiny creatures, most no larger than a mouse. Teeth showing the tribosphenic pattern that would define mammals, cusps designed for grinding, processing food more efficiently. They hunted insects in the darkness, developed better hearing, whiskers to navigate, warm blood to stay active through the cool nights. Your own warmth, feel it now. That mammalian inheritance, keeping you alive, keeping you drifting. 201 million years ago, the world broke again. The Triassic-Jurassic extinction, not as severe as the Great Dying, but catastrophic enough. 76% of species vanished. The culprit, volcanism again. The Central Atlantic magmatic province, massive eruptions as Pangaea began to split. The Atlantic Ocean was being born in fire. lava flows covering an area larger than the Amazon rainforest, releasing megatons of carbon dioxide, sulfur, temperatures soaring, ocean acidification, coral reefs collapsing, the Rauisuchians died out, the large amphibians, many of the dominant crurotarsans, and in the empty niches, the dinosaurs rose. True dinosaurs now, Saurischians with their lizard hips, Ornithischians with their bird hips, a naming convention that would confuse future paleontologists because birds actually evolved from the lizard-hipped line. But names are just sounds, drifting, fading. Let your jaw release, softer, softer, as we float into the Jurassic. The world is fragmenting now. Pangaea cracking along ancient seams, Laurasia to the north, Gondwana to the south, the Tethys Ocean widening, the Atlantic just a narrow seaway, but growing. The Western Interior Seaway would eventually split North America, but that's still millions of years ahead. For now, the continents remember their connection. Sauropodomorphs were rising, literally. These giants with long necks, diplodocids, brachiosaurids, reaching heights never seen before, never seen since. Brachiosaurus could lift its head 50 feet into the air. Its heart, imagine this, had to generate blood pressure high enough to pump against gravity, up that incredible neck to feed that small head. That heart must have been enormous, powerful. Thump, thump, thump. Your own heart, so much smaller, working so much less as you sink, drift. The Morrison Formation in the American West preserves a Jurassic ecosystem in exquisite detail. Allosaurus, the lion of its time, hunting strategies revealed by tooth marks on bones, bite and retreat, waiting for blood loss and shock. Its jaws could open wide, incredibly wide, to tear flesh from prey too large to kill quickly. Stegosaurus bore those distinctive plates along its back, not for defense, too fragile, but for thermoregulation or display. Flushed with blood, they might have blushed red, a signal, a warning, or an invitation. Diplodocus could crack its tail like a whip, the long tapering tail forming a bullwhip structure, capable of breaking the sound barrier, a supersonic deterrent. Boom, echoing across the floodplains. But mostly, these giants were gentle, moving in herds, their footprints preserved in trackways showing adults surrounding juveniles, protecting them. In the oceans, ichthyosaurs dove deep. These marine reptiles, shaped like dolphins through convergent evolution, could descend to crushing depths, their sclerotic rings particularly large, supporting huge eyes to see in the darkness below, hunting squid in the abyss, holding their breath, then bursting upward toward the light. Your own breath, slow now, barely there. The Solnhofen limestone in Bavaria, formed from the fine-grained sediments of a Jurassic lagoon, preserves impossible detail. Individual feathers, soft tissues, the delicate membranes of pterosaurs. And there, in 1861, workers found Archaeopteryx, the first bird, or the last feathered dinosaur, depending how you looked at it. Wings with clawed fingers, teeth in its beak, a long bony tail, but covered in feathers, asymmetric feathers showing it could fly, truly fly, not just glide. The evolution of the avian wishbone, the furcula, fused clavicles forming a spring-like structure, crucial for the flight stroke. This was developing in theropods long before flight, Velociraptors had wishbones. Tyrannosaurus had a wishbone. The skeleton was ready, waiting for some dinosaurs to take to the air. Pterosaurs had already mastered flight. Pteranodon soaring over Jurassic seas on wings spanning 20 feet. Dimorphodon with its peculiar large head and short wings, darting after insects. Each group found its niche, its way of slicing through the ancient air. Feel the air moving across your skin now, cool, gentle, like wind across those Jurassic coasts. The beetles were diversifying, the order Coleoptera exploding into thousands of forms, herbivorous beetles adapting to eat the new plant growth, predatory beetles hunting in the leaf litter, their hardened forewings, elytra protecting the delicate flight wings beneath. Lift one, fold it, tuck it away, like your eyelids growing heavier. Plesiosaurs swam through the tethys, their locomotion unique. 4 flippers moving in a rowing or flying motion underwater. Long necks in the elasmosaurs, 40 or more vertebrae, allowing them to snake their heads through schools of fish or dip down into deeper water while their bodies stayed near the surface. But their necks, despite the vertebrae, were relatively inflexible, each bone allowing only slight movement, the curve gradual, gentle, like your spine settling into the mattress. Plesiosaurs were their cousins with shorter necks, but far more terrifying. Massive heads, powerful jaws, bite force estimates for the largest species, Plesiosaurus funki perhaps, exceed that of Tyrannosaurus rex, enough to crush bone, to shear through flesh. They hunted other marine reptiles, fish, anything that moved in their domain. Giant ammonites drifted through those same waters, some species growing shells 6 feet across, coiling, spiraling outward, each chamber in the shell filled with gas, controlling buoyancy. The animal lived only in the outermost chamber, the body chamber. Tentacles reaching out into the current, eyes, sophisticated eyes, watching. Thump, thump, your heartbeat fading, distant. Coral reefs were expanding in the Jurassic. Modern scleractinian corals building structures in the warm shallows, creating ecosystems. Cities beneath the waves, fish sheltering in the crevices, eels, rays, sharks already ancient even then, having survived the extinctions that killed so many sharks. Elegant solutions to the problem of being a predator, unchanged in basic form for hundreds of millions of years because the design worked. On land, the first flowers were preparing their entrance, angiosperms evolving in the late Jurassic or early Cretaceous, small at first, modest blooms that would revolutionize terrestrial ecosystems, but not yet. For now, gymnosperms reigned, conifers dominated the forests, Araucaria, the monkey puzzle tree, and its relatives covering vast regions, the air filled with pollen, no bright petals to attract pollinators yet, just wind, carrying the future. Let the wind carry your thoughts, scattering them, dissolving them. The Tendaguru beds in Tanzania preserve another window into the Jurassic. Brachiosaurus branchi, Kentrosaurus, the spike-backed relative of Stegosaurus. Predators known only from teeth, fragments, the bones lying in ancient river channels, transported, buried, mineralized over 150 million years, becoming stone, becoming permanent, becoming fossil. In the oceans, oceanic anoxic events were occurring periodically. low oxygen levels in deep water, sometimes extending into shallow seas. These events, triggered by volcanic activity, high sea levels, warm temperatures, would kill marine organisms and create the organic rich shales that would eventually become oil deposits, the Jurassic oceans, literally fueling the modern world, energy stored, waiting, deep in the rock, early Cretaceous. And Pangaea's fragments were drifting further apart, Laurasia splitting into North America and Eurasia, Gondwana separating into South America, Africa, India, Antarctica, Australia, the Laramidia landmass forming in western North America, isolated by the western interior seaway. Evolution on each landmass proceeding independently now. Different dinosaurs, different ecosystems, diversity flowering. The titanosaurs were rising in the south, Argentinosaurus, possibly the largest land animal ever. Estimates suggest weights over 70 tons, lengths approaching 100 feet. The sheer mass straining at the limits of what bone and muscle could support. Its footprints must have sunk deep into the soft earth. Each step a commitment, a slow, inevitable forward motion. Feel your own body pressing down, supported, safe, nothing to hold up, nothing to carry. Giganotosaurus and its relatives, the Carcharodontosaurs, were the apex predators of Gondwana, larger than Tyrannosaurus, which hadn't evolved yet, with blade-like teeth designed for slicing, causing massive blood loss. They may have hunted the young titanosaurs, the only ones vulnerable, the only ones they could bring down. In Laurasia, Spinosaurus was evolving its remarkable semi-aquatic lifestyle. Recent discoveries reveal a tail built for swimming, neural spines forming a paddle. This largest of predatory dinosaurs, 50 feet long, spent significant time in water, catching enormous fish, its crocodilian snout packed with conical teeth, perfect for gripping slippery prey. It swam, truly swam, a dinosaur returning to the water like cetaceans would do later, like ichthyosaurs had done before. The water calls, the water welcomes, dissolving boundaries. Crocodilians were already establishing their modern form. Dinosuchus, the terror crocodile of the late Cretaceous, growing over 30 feet long, bite marks on dinosaur bones, even tyrannosaurs, show these giants could take down anything at the water's edge. Crocodilians would survive the extinction that killed the dinosaurs because their survival strategy worked. Ectothermic, able to go long periods without food, comfortable in water. They wait, patient, eternal, like the darkness welcoming you now. Flowering plants were spreading, the world blooming, angiosperms diversifying rapidly, co-evolving with pollinating insects. Bees appeared in the Cretaceous, wasps that had begun collecting pollen, and symbiotic relationship, flowers providing food, insects providing pollination, more efficient than wind, more targeted. Within 30 million years, flowering plants would dominate most terrestrial ecosystems. The Cretaceous hothouse climate supporting lush growth, forest carpeted with early flowering herbs, magnolias, water lilies, roses, all finding their forms. Ants emerged, evolving from wasp ancestors. Social insects building colonies, farming mold, tending aphids. Complex societies beneath the soil, beneath the leaf litter. Civilizations at a smaller scale, working, always working. But you, You have nothing to work toward, nothing to build, only rest, only drift. The hadrosaurs, duck-billed dinosaurs, were diversifying, developing elaborate crests, Parasaurolophus with its long, backward-sweeping tube. Acoustic modelling suggests these crests acted as resonating chambers, producing low-frequency calls that could travel for miles. Communication across the coastal plains, finding mates, warning of predators, herds moving together, coordinated. The sounds echoing through the Cretaceous evening, low, resonant, fading into the distance, fading. Pachycephalosaurs evolved their distinctive domed skulls, solid bone, incredibly dense. Were these for headbutting contests, like modern rams, or for display, or flank butting? The damage on some skulls suggests impact, competition, but perhaps gentler than once thought, a ritual rather than warfare. The bone could withstand force, but the brain beneath, that had to be protected, cushioned, like your mind now, cushioned by the soft fog of sleep. In the oceans, mosasaurs had appeared. These marine lizards, relatives of modern monitors, adapted completely to aquatic life, streamlined bodies, paddle-like limbs, forked tongues. They ruled the late Cretaceous seas, some species growing 50 feet long, hypercarnivores eating fish, sharks, other mosasaurs, ammonites, their teeth curved backward. Once something was caught, it wasn't escaping. The Hesperornithids, Hesperornis and its relatives, were flightless diving birds, wings reduced to small vestiges, but legs powerful, diving deep for fish. Their teeth. Yes, toothed birds still existed in the Cretaceous. These birds swimming through the western interior seaway, chasing the same fish the mosasaurs hunted, but in shallower water, smaller targets. Each found their place, their rhythm, like your breath finding its rhythm now. In, out, barely noticed. Xiphactinus. The bulldog fish, a massive bony fish, 18 feet long. Fossils found with other fish preserved inside their stomachs. The famous fish within a fish specimens. They swallowed prey whole, sometimes too large, sometimes the prey item damaged internal organs, and predator and prey died together, sinking, settling to the seafloor, fossilizing as one last meal, one last breath. Archelon, the giant sea turtle, swam those same waters, shell spanning 12 feet, flippers powerful enough to propel half a ton through the currents. They nested on beaches, coming ashore laboriously, digging, laying eggs, then returning to the ocean, the babies hatching weeks later, scrambling toward the water, most eaten by predators. A few surviving, growing, living 100 years or more in the ancient seas. Slow metabolism, slow life, time measured differently, like now, time stretching, becoming irrelevant. Quetzalcoatlus, the largest pterosaur, the largest flying creature ever, walked on all fours when grounded, using its folded wings as front limbs. But in the air, wingspan approaching 40 feet, soaring on thermals, perhaps soaring for days without landing, hunting on the wing, diving to snatch prey, its hollow bones, pneumatic, connected to its respiratory system, air sacs extending into the skeleton, making it light enough to fly despite its massive size. Thump, thump, so slow now, barely there. Theropods had developed a respiratory system even more efficient than mammals. flow through lungs, air moving in one direction, extracting oxygen on both inhalation and exhalation, air sacs throughout the body, some extending into those hollow bones. This system, inherited by birds, explains how they can fly at altitude that would leave mammals gasping, the breath flowing, always flowing, like the script flowing, endless, circular, velociraptor, smaller than movie suggested, turkey-sized, but covered in feathers, quill knobs on the forearm bones, attachment points for flight feathers. It couldn't fly, wings too small, but it could probably glide, or use the feathers for display, for brooding eggs. The famous Fighting Dinosaurs fossil shows a velociraptor locked in combat with protoceratops, both buried suddenly, perhaps by a collapsing sand dune, frozen in their final moment, forever struggling, forever still. Protoceratops, common in the Mongolian Cretaceous, may have inspired the griffin myth when ancient peoples found their skulls, the beak, the frill, resembling a beaked bird-lion hybrid. Nomads trading these fossils along the Silk Road, stories growing, transforming, until the creature was legend, myth, dream, like memory fading, becoming story, becoming nothing. Oviraptorids, once thought to be egg thieves. Their name means egg thief, but later discoveries showed them brooding their own eggs, sitting on nests, wings spread over the clutch, protecting, warming, evidence of parental care, of behaviours more complex than once imagined. Feathered arms forming a living blanket, thump, thump, the heartbeat keeping the eggs warm, life caring for life, generation after generation. Therizinosaurs had the strangest appearance. Long necks, pot bellies, enormous claws on their hands, 3 feet long in some species, but herbivorous. Those massive claws used to pull branches down, to strip leaves, perhaps for defense, but mainly for feeding. Evolution taking the theropod body plan, the predatory lineage, and bending it toward plant eating. Anything is possible, given time, given pressure, given chance. Titanosaur nesting grounds have been found, clutches of eggs in shallow pits, dozens of nests close together, colonial nesting like modern birds. The sauropods laying eggs and leaving, no parental care for these giants. The babies hatching small, vulnerable, growing for decades to reach adult size. Those that survived, grew, persisted, most didn't. Life is profligate, wasteful, death-feeding life, always, always. Sauropods swallowed stones, gastroliths, smooth polished stones found with their skeletons. These sat in a muscular gizzard, grinding plant material, compensating for the weak teeth, the inability to chew, the stones tumbling, crushing, breaking down tough plant fibers, wearing smooth over years, eventually expelled, replaced. The stones remain, scattered across ancient floodplains, evidence of digestion, of life's mechanical processes, now silent, still. Fossilized resin, amber, preserves Cretaceous life in 3 dimensions. Insects trapped mid-flight, flowers, feathers, even a dinosaur tail, vertebrae and all, covered in feathers, frozen in golden time, the resin flowing from conifers, sticky, trapping anything that touched it, then hardening, lasting 99 million years. Small moments, preserved perfectly, while the giants left only bones. Early snakes with vestigial limbs slithered through the leaf litter. Tetrapodophis, Najash, showing the transition from lizard to serpent, the limb shrinking, becoming internal, eventually vanishing, the body elongating, ribs multiplying, evolving to move without legs, to hunt in burrows, to slide through grass. Another solution, another path, the path always winding, always changing like your thoughts, meandering, dissolving. Iguanodon had a distinctive thumb spike, for decades depicted as a horn on the nose in reconstructions, but actually a pointed thumb, purpose unclear, defense, breaking into seeds, social display. The iguanodont family successful, widespread, herds moving across European archipelagos, islands in the Cretaceous Tethys, each with slightly different species, isolated, evolving. Baryonyx had adaptations for fish eating, crocodilian snout, conical teeth, large claw on the hand, fish scales found in the stomach cavity of the holotype specimen, this spinosaurid hunting at the water's edge, snatching fish like a bear. The Cretaceous was diverse, ecological niches filled, refilled, life finding every opportunity like every opening. But you're closing now, folding inward. Carnotaurus had vestigial arms, even shorter than Tyrannosaurus, tiny useless forelimbs. But its skull was short and deep, eyes facing forward, binocular vision, and those horns over the eyes, unique among theropods, for display, for headbutting, for something. Evolution reduces what isn't needed, keeps what works, the arms fading, the predatory lifestyle demanding speed, powerful legs, massive jaws, nothing else mattered. Let what doesn't matter fade away. The Hell Creek ecosystem preserved the very end of the Cretaceous. 66 million years ago. Tyrannosaurus rex, Triceratops, Edmontosaurus, Ankylosaurus, Pachycephalosaurus, a rich fauna, successful, thriving, the ecosystem stable, abundant, and then the Capig boundary, a thin layer of clay, found worldwide, marking the moment, the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event. 66 million years ago, an asteroid, 6 miles wide, struck the Yucatan Peninsula, the Chicxulub impact crater, buried now beneath jungle and limestone. But the scar remains, 112 miles wide. The physics of the impact. Imagine the asteroid hitting at 12 miles per second, vaporizing instantly, along with the rock beneath, sending ejecta into orbit, some of it falling back, heating the atmosphere, starting global fires. The blast wave, the magnitude of 1 billion nuclear bombs, flattening everything for hundreds of miles, the seismic waves, the tsunamis, but those were immediate, local. The global effects came after. Dust and aerosols filled the atmosphere, blocking sunlight. Photosynthesis stopped. Temperatures plummeted. An impact winter lasting months, perhaps years. Plants died. Herbivores starved. Carnivores starved. The food chain collapsed from the bottom up. 3/4 of species vanished, including all non-avian dinosaurs, all the pterosaurs, most marine reptiles, the ammonites, gone, the belemnites, gone. But some survived. Small mammals, some birds, crocodilians, turtles, sharks. Small body size helped. Ability to hibernate, to burrow, to eat detritus. Those that needed less endured. while the giants, the titans, the thunder lizards faded, their bones sinking into the sediment, waiting to be found, waiting to be named, waiting to teach us. The Deccan traps in India were also erupting, massive flood basalts, lava covering hundreds of thousands of square miles, releasing gases, changing climate. Some argue the dinosaurs were already declining, that the volcanism was stressing ecosystems, that the asteroid was merely the final blow, or perhaps the impact triggered the increased Deccan volcanism. The timing is uncertain, debated. What's certain is the world ended and began again. Let that ending wash over you. Thump, thump. Everything ends, everything transforms. The energy doesn't vanish, just changes form. Your tension releasing, changing, as becoming stillness. But the Deccan traps remind us. The Mesozoic began with volcanism too. The Siberian traps, the Central Atlantic magmatic province. The great eras bookended by fire, the earth breathing, reshaping itself, indifferent to the life clinging to its surface. We are temporary, visitors passing through. Your worries, temporary, passing, fading. Look at the legacy though. The Mesozoic gave us birds, 23,000 species today, descended from those theropod dinosaurs, feathers, flight, song, warm blood, all dinosaurian traits. The dinosaurs never went extinct, they transformed. Every sparrow, every eagle, every penguin carries that ancient lineage. Thump, thump, the heartbeat continuing. Crocodilians survived, their body plan perfected, unchanged for millions of years. The same basic design as their Triassic ancestors. It works in rivers, in swamps, patient predators, cold-blooded, efficient. They watched the dinosaurs rise, watched them fall, and remained still in muddy banks, eyes above water, waiting. Turtles survived. Their shell evolved in the Triassic from Odontochelys and its relatives, the ribs expanding, fusing, creating armor, slow metabolism, ability to survive without food for months. They pulled into their shells, waited out the fires. The darkness emerged when the dust settled and continue, crossing roads, swimming seas, living centuries. Time moves differently for them. The mammals inherited the world, tiny creatures in the Cretaceous, micromammals hiding in burrows, eating insects, eggs, some like Rapenomamus even eating small dinosaurs, but mostly staying small, staying hidden. The dinosaurs dominated, and mammals waited, survived. When the giants fell, the mammals emerged, diversified, grew. Within 10 million years, there were mammals as large as the medium-sized dinosaurs, evolution filling niches, always filling niches. The birds too radiated, those Cretaceous birds that survived, small, adaptable, exploded into new forms. Raptors, waterfowl, songbirds, each filling a role, a space, a possibility. The Paleogene, the Neogene, ages of mammals and birds, building toward now, toward this moment, you, listening, drifting, sinking. Think of the colours. Melanosomes preserved in some fossils, pigment-producing organelles. Their shape determines colour. Analysis reveals Sinosauropteryx had a striped tail. Microraptor was glossy black. Borealopelta had reddish-brown countershading, darker on top, lighter below, camouflage. The Mesozoic world was colourful, vibrant. Not the drab greys of old reconstructions. Imagine crimson crests, blue wings, iridescent feathers catching the sun. All that beauty, all that colour, dust now. Coprolite analysis, fossilised dung, reveals diet, seeds, bones, parasites, the intimate details of daily life. Tyrannosaurus coprolites contain bone fragments, proving they crunch through skeleton, processed everything. Herbivore coprolites show the plants they ate, conifer needles, fern sporangia, a window into meals eaten 70 million years ago. Everything returns to Earth, processed, recycled, your body processing, digesting the day, preparing for renewal. Growth rings in dinosaur bones, like tree rings, show seasonal growth, periods of rapid growth, periods of slow growth. From this we estimate lifespans. Tyrannosaurus took 20 years to reach full size, lived perhaps 30 years total, growing explosively in teenage years. The bones remember, record, testify. Even stone speaks, if you know how to listen. Listen to the silence now. Eudimorphodon, an early pterosaur, shows dental wear patterns, teeth worn in specific ways, suggesting a fish diet. The enamel abraded, changed by use. Everything that lives changes, marks, is marked. Your body marked by the day, by time, but sleep smooths those marks, refreshes, renews. Shonisaurus, the giant ichthyosaur, reached sizes over 60 feet, among the largest marine reptiles ever, hunting deep water, holding breath for long dives. Their babies born live, tail first to prevent drowning, adapted completely to ocean life, never coming to land, couldn't come to land, bones unable to support their weight in air. They needed the water, the buoyancy, the weightlessness. You too need this weightless drift. Cryolophosaurus, from Antarctic Jurassic rocks, when Antarctica was further north, forested, not ice-covered. Its distinctive forward-curving crest, unique, purpose unknown. The continent has drifted, frozen, transformed entirely. Polar dinosaurs lived in Australia too, dealing with months of winter darkness, perhaps hibernating, perhaps adapted to low light. Life finds ways, always ways. Dilophosaurus, contrary to Jurassic Park, had no evidence of venom. The double crest fragile, likely for display, not combat. Early large predator, showing the theropod body plan, but primitive, not as specialized as later forms. Movies lie, make monsters, but reality is stranger, subtler, more interesting. Truth fades though, becomes story. Story becomes dream. Jurassic conifers dominated landscapes, Araucaria, Podocarpus, sequoia relatives, forests of needle giants, their pollen found in sediments, their wood turned to stone, petrified forests preserving the cellular structure. You can count growth rings in mineralized wood, see the vascular tissue, touch a tree that died 150 million years ago, and it's still hard, still solid, still here. Persistence, patience, time. Saltosaurs, titanosaurs from South America, had osteoderms, bony armor plates in the skin, unusual for sauropods. Most relied on size for defense, but these evolved armor, perhaps against the Carcharodontosaurs, perhaps for display. The bones found scattered, arranged like chains across the skeleton. Protection, defense, but no defense against time, against endings, no defense Muttaburrasaurus, an Australian ornithopod, shows island gigantism, larger than its relatives elsewhere, common on islands where large predators are absent, prey species grow larger, and where resources are limited, giants become dwarfs. Megalochnus, the island ground sloth, dwarfed on Caribbean islands. Evolution responding to environment, to pressure, to possibility, always changing, flowing like water, like your consciousness, flowing away. Pycnofibers covered pterosaurs, not true feathers, but hair-like integument, providing insulation, suggesting warm-blooded metabolism. Fuzzy pterosaurs, unlikely image, but supported by fossils. The fibre impressions preserved around skeletons in fine-grained limestone. Evolution invented fuzz independently, multiple times. It works, keeps heat in. Even dinosaurs seem to have had filaments, proto-feathers, before true feathers evolved. Warmth matters, like the warmth cocooning you now. Safe, dark, still. Scutellosaurus, a small armoured ornithischian from the early Jurassic, shows how ankylosaurs began. Small, bipedal, with rows of osteoderms, defence beginning. In later ankylosaurs, the armour would elaborate, fuse, become a carapace. Tail clubs developing, Euoplocephalus, Ankylosaurus, walking fortresses, but it started simple, small, just a few protective plates. Evolution builds, layers, adds, refines, over millions of years. No rush, no hurry. Let go of hurry. There's time, infinite time. Nitrogen levels in the Mesozoic atmosphere, higher than today. This may have supported larger body sizes, richer oxygen transport, denser plant growth. The air itself different, thicker, the world breathing differently. Everything connected, atmosphere, ocean, life, rock, cycling, flowing, balanced. Your breath, part of that same cycle, oxygen in, carbon dioxide out, connecting you to trees, to oceans, to deep time. Breathe, just breathe. Oceanoxic events, periods when deep ocean water lost its oxygen, occurred several times in the Mesozoic, triggered by volcanic activity, continental arrangement, climate. These events killed deep sea life, created black shales rich in organic carbon, but they also released nutrients when they ended, fertilizing the oceans, driving blooms. After crisis, renewal. Always, always renewal. Dinosaur encephalization quotients, brain-to-body size ratios were generally low. Sauropods famously had tiny brains for their enormous bodies, but some theropods, especially later ones, had higher EQs. Troodontids, some dromaeosaurs, approaching bird levels, suggesting complex behaviour, problem-solving, social interaction. Intelligence is relative, fluid, not absolute. Your own intelligence, quieting now, dimming, unnecessary. The emergence of ants in the Cretaceous, social insects creating colonies, farming, herding, warfare, complex chemical communication, pheromone trails, nuptial flights, queens living decades, workers weeks, civilizations beneath our feet, operating on different scales, different time, millions of individuals acting as one organism, one breath, one heartbeat, distributed, thump, thump, synchronized. Saltwater levels fluctuated throughout the Mesozoic. Sea level high in the Cretaceous, flooded continental margins, creating epicontinental seas, the Western Interior Seaway, the Tethys, later declining, exposing land bridges, allowing migration. the oceans breathing, rising, falling, the moon pulling tides, the Earth's heat swelling water, ice ages locking it away. The oceans know deep time, remember every age, flowing, always flowing. Gondwana's separation, India breaking away, drifting north. It would collide with Asia, raise the Himalayas, but that's after. Madagascar splitting off, South America and Africa pulling apart, Antarctica and Australia separating, each fragment carrying its own biota, evolving independently. Later, much later, DNA would reveal relationships, cousins separated by oceans, by time, everything connected, everything diverging, flowing outward like sleep, spreading through your body, claiming territory, settling. The transition to the Paleogene, arbitrary, defined by that clay layer, that boundary. But time doesn't actually break, it flows, continuous. The day after the impact was day one of a new era, but the same sun rose. The survivors didn't know they were in a new period. They just lived, adapted, continued. Periods, eras, human constructs. Time cares nothing for our labels. It moves, patient, eternal. Let it move through you. 66 million years, flowing backward, forward, circular. The Mesozoic sands settling, gentle, covering the bones of giants. The oceans washing over, the continents drifting, the stars wheeling overhead, unchanging patterns. Everything that happened, happened. Everything that lives, lives. Everything that sleeps, sinks deeper, deeper. Your spine aligned with stone, with deep time. Muscles releasing, becoming sediment, settling. Your thoughts, fragmenting, scattering, becoming fossil, becoming nothing, nothing but rest. The boundaries dissolving between self and time, self and dark, self and nothing. Drift, drift. The script loops, the mysteries spiral, returning to the beginning, always beginning, never ending. Let go of the ending, embrace the continuing, the eternal loop, the mysteries cycling, returning. The ceratopsians were diversifying across the late Cretaceous. Protoceratops, small, basal, common in Mongolia, then larger forms, Centrosaurus, Styracosaurus, with their elaborate nasal horns and frill spikes, and finally, Triceratops, the three-horned face, the icon, massive skull, 1/3 of body length, the frill-solid bone, not the fenestrated frills of earlier ceratopsians, built for combat, for pushing, for display. Evidence of healed wounds on frills, just bone regrowth. They fought, survived, healed. Life continuing despite injury, despite struggle. But struggle ends, in sleep, in peace. Lambeosaurus, another hadrosaur, with a hatchet-shaped crest, hollow, resonating. Each species of Lambeosaurin had differently shaped crests, different sounds, a forest of duckbills, each with their own voice, their own call. Imagine the dawn chorus. In the late Cretaceous, dozens of species, hundreds of individuals, calling, answering, a symphony of strange voices, all silent now. For 66 million years, the silence, so deep, so complete. Feel that silence around you, within you, spreading. Thump, thump, your heart, barely noticed, barely there. Sauropods continued through the Cretaceous. Though less diverse than the Jurassic, titanosaurs dominated. Dreadnoughtus, Patagotitan, Argentinosaurus. The southern continents, Gondwana, became their refuge, their stronghold. While in the north, Laurasia, they declined, disappeared, replaced by hadrosaurs, ceratopsians, different herbivores, different solutions to the same problem: eating plants, surviving. Everything changes, everything adapts or fades away, fading like consciousness, like thought. The ornithomimids, ostrich mimics, were swift runners, long legs, hollow bones, no teeth, just beaked jaws, perhaps omnivorous, eating plants, small animals, eggs, built for speed, escape rather than combat, running, fleeing. Their fossilized trackways show speeds up to 60 kilometers per hour, fast, panicked, or perhaps just moving, graceful, through their world now gone, speed irrelevant. When you're stone, when you're still, be still, so still. Oviraptorosaurs had shortened faces, almost parrot-like, some crested, some not. Their hands, remarkably long, three-fingered, grasping. What did they grasp? We're not certain. Eggs, perhaps, but their own eggs, not stolen. They brooded. The fossils show them, sitting on nests, arms spread, even in death, even fossilized, still protecting, still caring. The instinct preserved in stone, love turned to rock. But love remains in the pattern, in the posture, in the trying. Let yourself be held, protected, safe. The alvarezsaurids were strange, small, long-legged, with tiny arms, but those arms ending in a single large claw, almost mole-like. Were they digging? Termite mounds, ant colonies, specialized insectivores, their teeth tiny, numerous, the jaws weak, but the arms powerful for their size. Evolution experiments, tries, creates oddities, solutions we wouldn't imagine. Life finds a way, always, but you don't need to find a way. Just drift, just float. There are xenosaurs, we mentioned, but consider their strangeness further. 10-foot-long claws, potbellies, long necks, herbivorous theropods, looking like nothing else, shaped by evolutionary pressures into something unique, unprecedented. They walked, ate leaves, existed for millions of years, successful, thriving, until they weren't, until the end. Nothing lasts, except change, except transformation. Transform now into sleep, into dreams. Troodontids had the largest brain-to-body ratios of any dinosaur. Large eyes, stereoscopic vision, grasping hands. Perhaps the most intelligent dinosaurs, smart enough to, what? Hunt in the dark, solve problems, coordinate. We'll never know their inner lives, their experiences. Only bones remain, and bones don't think, don't feel, don't remember. Let your thinking stop, feeling fade, memory dissolve. Dromaeosaurs, the raptors, Velociraptor, Deinonychus, Utahraptor, each with that distinctive sickle claw on the second toe, held up while walking, striking down when attacking. The claw, razor sharp, designed to slash, to wound, to bleed prey. Pack hunters, perhaps. The evidence, uncertain, but terrifying predators, regardless. Small, smart, deadly, but dead now, long dead. Everything that hunted is hunted by time. Time takes all, even predators, even fear. Let fear go. Nothing to fear, only dark, only rest. The abelisaurids of the southern continents, Carnotaurus, Majungasaurus, short deep skulls, tiny arms, even smaller than Tyrannosaurus. Some had horns, ridges, unusual head ornaments, different from the northern Carcharodontosaurs, different solutions, evolving in isolation, Gondwana developing its own predators, its own balance. The continents separated, evolution diverged, separate paths to the same end, extinction. Everyone arrives, eventually, at the same place, stillness, silence, peace. Mosasaurs dominated the oceans while tyrannosaurs dominated the land. Different lineages, different adaptations, but both apex predators, both successful, both gone. Tylosaurus, Mosasaurus, Enosaurus, growing to 40 feet, powerful tails, swimming, hunting, their jaws, double-hinged, like modern snakes, could swallow large prey, could disarticulate to fit, life swallowing life, energy transferring, the cycle continuing until it stopped, until the seas went cold, until the end. Endings are natural, necessary. Welcome them. Plesiosaurs persisted, but declining. The mosasaurs, more efficient, better adapted, outcompeting them. Evolution is competition, niches filled by the best fit, not the first, not the most deserving, just the best fit. The plesiosaurs fading, fewer, rarer, still present at the KP boundary, but diminished, reduced. Everything reduces, eventually, compresses, simplifies. Simplify now, reduce thought, compress awareness to just breath, just heartbeat, just nothing. Hesperornis and its relatives. The Hesperonithids, toothed diving birds, were successful, widespread. In the western interior seaway, the Tethys, diving, catching fish, coming ashore to nest, flightless, committed to the sea, their wings, tiny, useless for flight, used for steering underwater. Perhaps everything adapts, specializes, becomes so good at one thing that everything else falls away. Let everything else fall away. Keep only this moment, this piece. Ichthyornis, another toothed bird, but this one could fly, small, tern-like, catching fish from the air, diving, snatching, rising. A successful lineage, common, and then gone. The KP boundary ended them. Birds survived, yes, but not these birds, not the toothed birds, only the beaked birds, the modern style, the neornithines, ancestors of all living birds. They made it through, small, adaptable, generalized. Specialization is vulnerability. Simplicity is strength. Be simple, be small, be quiet. The pterosaurs in the late Cretaceous were giants, Quetzalcoatlus, Hatzegopteryx, wingspan 10, 11, 12 meters, flying, truly flying, not just gliding, the physics, challenging, but they did it. Hollow bones, air sacs, efficient, light, strong, launching from quadrupedal stance, powerful legs pushing, wings catching wind, and airborne, soaring, masters of the air for 160 million years, longer than dinosaurs ruled the land. And then the sky fell dark, the air turned cold, and they fell, all of them, every species, ended, complete, final, like sleep, complete, final, let go. Ammonites, throughout the Mesozoic, thousands of species, every ocean, every depth, straight shells, loosely coiled, tightly coiled, smooth, ribbed, spined, ornamented, diversity, beauty, success, for 340 million years, surviving extinctions, persisting, adapting, and then the KPG boundary ended them, all of them, the chambered shells, empty, sinking, fossilizing, beautiful still. Spirals in stone, mathematics, frozen, young, eternal patterns in temporary forms. Forms fading, patterns remaining. Sleep is a pattern, repeating, eternal. Enter the pattern. Belemnites, the internal shells of squid-like cephalopods, solid, elongated, guard, phragmocone, prustracum, the anatomy preserved. Sometimes the ink sac, sometimes the arms, the hooks, predators of the open ocean, fast swimmers, successful, diverse, and gone. At the KPG boundary, another casualty, another ending. The ocean, emptied, refilled, different species, different families, but the niches filled again. Life, persistent, unstoppable. But you can stop striving, stop persisting, just rest. Reef ecosystems collapsed at the KPG boundary. The rudists, bizarre bivalves that had replaced corals as reef builders, gone. The corals themselves, devastated, reduced to a few species. The reefs, structures built over millennia, dissolving, collapsing of the fish, the invertebrates, the complexity, crashing, 90% of species, gone. The oceans, empty, dark, acidic, anoxic in places, death widespread, and then, slowly, recovery, but different. New species, new structures, the Paleogene reefs, built by modern corals, different, but reefs again. Life insists. But you can surrender. No need to insist. No need to rebuild. Only dissolve. Only fade on land. The forests burned, the asteroid impact, ejected material into orbit, falling back, heating the atmosphere. Infrared radiation, intense, igniting plants. Fires, global. The sky, glowing. Trees, exploding. Animals, fleeing, but nowhere to flee. Everywhere, burning. The smoke, the ash, rising, blocking the sun. Impact winter, following fire, freezing, following burning. Extremes, oscillating. Too fast, too severe. Adaptability, overwhelmed. Survival, luck. Being small, being underground, being somewhere else. When it happened, most weren't lucky. The survivors, emerging into a changed world. Scavengers thrived initially. So much death, so much to eat. But then, starvation. The food chain broken. Plants dead. Herbivores dead. Carnivores dying. The small endured. Eating seeds. Eating dead organic matter. Eating anything. Surviving, barely. The world, quiet, empty, waiting for recovery, for renewal, for life to try again. Ferns were first to recover, spores, resistant, widespread. The early Paleogene, a fern prairie, covering the continents. No flowers, no trees, just ferns. And then, slowly, angiosperms returning from seeds, from survivors, trees growing, forests recovering, 50,000 years, maybe more, the scars healing, the earth, patient, life, persistent, time inevitable, rest in inevitability, rest in patience, rest. The mammals, small before, stayed small at first, but diversifying, specializing. Within 10 million years, mammals as large as triceratops, different mammals, Wintertherium, titanoids, Barylambda, strange forms, experimenting, the niches empty, waiting to be filled, and filled they were, but not by the old occupants, by new ones. Change is the only constant, transformation the only truth, transform into sleep, into peace, into stillness. Thump, thump, slowing, slowing, heavier, heavier, your body sinking, the mattress rising on to meet you, holding you completely, the Mesozoic spreading beneath you, layers of time, Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, stacked, compressed, supporting you, the dinosaurs below, silent, still, waiting, forever waiting, and you joining them in stillness, in silence, in the long, dark rest. The Mesozoic lasted 186 million years, longer than anything we can imagine. The rise, the rain, the fall, all contained in those millions of years, millions of generations, billions of individuals, each living, breathing, eating, mating, dying, the pattern repeating until it didn't, until it changed, until it ended. But the pattern, the breath, the heartbeat, that continues in different forms, in different species, the pattern eternal, even as the forms temporary, be form, dissolving, be pattern, continuing into sleep, deep, deep sleep. Margins blur between wake and sleep, between self and not self, between thought and nothing. The boundaries dissolving like Pangea, breaking, fragmenting, your consciousness fragmenting, scattering across the dark, each piece drifting, separate, free, no center, no self, just awareness, diffuse, fading, merging with everything, nothing, the dark, the silence, the deep, time, eternal, now, the script, loops, returns, begins again, but you don't need to return, don't need to begin, just continue this sinking, this drifting, this peace. The mysteries will keep cycling, the voice will keep speaking, but you don't need to listen, don't need to know, don't need anything. Just breathe, just be, just sleep, deep sleep. Nothing else matters, nothing else exists. Only this, only now, only dark, only peace, only sleep, and deeper still, sinking past the Paleogene, past the Cretaceous, back through the layers, the Jurassic again, the Triassic, each layer a world, complete, forgotten, preserved, in stone, in silence, your breath moving through them, like wind through ancient forests, barely disturbing the dust of ages. Coelurosaurs, the group containing tyrannosaurs, ornithomimids, oviraptorosaurs, therizinosaurs, dromaeosaurs, and birds, all related, all sharing traits, hollow bones, three-fingered hands, wishbones, many with feathers, the diversity, astounding, from tiny microraptor, four-winged, tree-dwelling, to massive Tyrannosaurus, apex predator, ground-shaking, all coelurosaurs, ulnar family, evolution branches, diversifies, explores possibilities, but the root, the common ancestor, connects them all. We're all connected, all one, in the deep past, in the deep now, in the deep sleep. Psittacosaurus, the parrot lizard, an early ceratopsian, small, bipedal, with quills on its tail, long bristles. For display, perhaps, hundreds of specimens found, growth series complete. From hatchling to adult, we can watch them grow. Frozen moments, preserved. The babies, big eyes, short tails, adults, different proportions, changed, but the same species, the same pattern, growing, changing, living, and then, still, all of them, still. Movement stopped, growth ended, time, frozen, be frozen, in this moment, perfectly, still. The Ixion Formation in China preserves impossible detail, feathers, scales, fur, soft tissue, even colour in some cases. The fossils, buried rapidly by volcanic ash. No time to decay, just preservation. Instant fossilization. A moment captured. Dinosaurs, birds, mammals, pterosaurs, all together in incredible detail. We can see how they really looked. Not just skeletons, but animals, living animals, with skin, with feathers, with life, now stone, now still. But the detail remains, the moment eternal. This moment, your moment, can also be eternal, preserved, in memory, in peace, in sleep. Microraptor, 4 wings, feathers on arms and legs, glossy black with iridescent sheen. We know this from melanosomes. The shape determines colour, preserved in fossils. It glided from tree to tree, perhaps flew, actively. The anatomy suggests capability, small, crow-sized, hunting, at dawn, at dusk, low light, those large eyes, adapted to dim conditions, like now. Your eyes, heavy, adapted to darkness, closing, no need for vision, in the dark, in sleep, Sinornithosaurus, the Chinese bird lizard, another small dromaeosaur, possibly venomous, grooved teeth, like some snakes, for delivering venom, or maybe not. The evidence, debated, but possible. Dinosaurs with venom, why not? Modern reptiles have it, why not ancient ones? Every adaptation, tried, tested, kept or discarded, evolution, experiments endlessly. But you don't need to experiment, just accept, just surrender to what is, to what comes, to sleep. Anchiornis, even smaller, pigeon-sized, fully feathered, even the feet, 4 wings like Microraptor, but simpler, more primitive. The colours known, grey body, white limbs, red crest. Specific, detailed, beautiful. A tiny predator, dressed elaborately. For what? Display. Camouflage. Both. It lived. It died. It became stone. Became colour preserved in stone. Became evidence of beauty in deep time. Beauty, fleeting like consciousness. Fading like thoughts. Scattering. Gone. Yichi, strange wing, had a membrane, like pterosaurs, like bats, but different, supported by a rod-like bone, styliform element, from the wrist, a dinosaur, with bat wings, evolution, trying everything. This experiment didn't persist, Yichi, rare, unsuccessful, but it tried, it existed, for a time, then ended. Not all experiments succeed. Not all attempts continue. But the trying, the existing, that matters, or does it? Does anything matter? In the dark, in sleep, nothing matters. Nothing. Only rest. The Scansoriopterygids, Yichi and its relatives, were trying to fly differently than birds, than pterosaurs. Their own solution, membrane wings, bat-like. But it didn't work well enough. They went extinct, while birds, feathered flyers, succeeded, proliferated, survived. To today, sometimes, the experiment fails. That's okay. Failure is rest, is release, is letting go, of striving, of trying, of everything. Epidexipteryx, another Scanteropterygid, had long ribbon-like tail feathers for display, not flight. Couldn't fly, just displayed. Tried to attract, tried to signal, success, fitness, beauty, all for reproduction, for continuation, for the species to persist. But it didn't. Persist. It ended. All that display, all that effort, for nothing or for everything. For the moment, for the living, life doesn't need to last forever. Just now. Just this breath, this moment, this heartbeat. Thump, thump, fading, fading. Jeholornis, primitive bird, from the same formations, had teeth, a long bony tail, but could fly, truly fly. Seeds found in stomach, herbivorous, a plant-eating bird in the early Cretaceous, different from modern birds, but working, successful, for millions of years, and then gone. Like most lineages, or like most species, extinction is normal, expected, inevitable. Life tries, fails, dies, and the cycle continues with new life, new attempts. But you don't need to continue. Just stop. Just rest. Just be still. Sapionis, another primitive bird, larger, crow-sized, also with seeds in stomach, convergent, with Jeholornis, different lineage, same diet, same niche, evolution, find solutions, repeatedly, independently, convergence, everywhere. Ichthyosaurs, dolphins, similar shapes, different lineages, pterosaurs, birds, bats, different wings, same sky, same problems, different solutions, same results, flight, it all ends the same. In stillness, in silence, in stone, let the solutions fade, let the problems dissolve, nothing to solve, nothing to do, nothing, just nothing. Confuciusornis, the first beaked bird, no teeth, like modern birds, but still primitive. Long-tail feathers in males, elaborate display, reproductive dimorphism, male and female, different, competing, attracting, mating, the cycle of life continuing through them. Then, others, the species, temporary, the pattern, eternal, you, temporary, the piece, eternal, merge. With the eternal, let the temporary fall away. Enantiomorphs, opposite birds, the dominant birds of the Mesozoic. Hundreds of species, worldwide, successful, adapted to many niches, perching, wading, swimming, different from modern birds in subtle ways, shoulder joint, different, thoracic vertebrae, different, but birds, definitely birds, flying, nesting, living, and then KP boundary, gone. All of them, every species, wiped out, while modern birds, neornithiners, survived, random, almost, luck, being small, being adaptable, being in the right place, at the right moment. You're in the right place, right now, the right moment to sleep, to rest, to let go. Hesperornis regalis, the royal western bird, flightless, diving bird, toothed, powerful legs, catching fish. In the western interior seaway, successful, common, perfectly adapted to its environment, and then environment changed, seaway drained, food web collapsed, extinction, perfection is no guarantee, adaptation is no insurance, everything ends eventually, perfectly adapted, or poorly adapted, doesn't matter. Time ends it. All accept the ending. Welcome. The rest, Ichthyornis victor. The conquering fish bird, small, tern-like, flying, catching fish. Successful, widespread, and gone at the boundary. Another victim, another casualty, victory. Temporary, conquest, illusion, nothing. Conquers time, nothing. Defeats entropy, everything. Dissolves, eventually, including resistance, including wakefulness. Dissolve, now, into sleep. Giant pterosaurs dominated the skies. At the end, Quetzalcoatlus northropi, named after Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god, and Northrop, aviation company, a god and a machine, combined in a name for the largest flyer ever, 10-meter wingspan, standing tall as a giraffe, walking on the ground, on all fours, wings folded, hunting, on foot, small dinosaurs, mammals, anything it could catch, and in the air, soaring effortlessly, for days, perhaps, riding thermals, crossing continents, the world, below, spread out like a map, until the sky darkened, the thermals died, and it fell from the sky. One last time, permanent, forever, grounded, Hatzegopteryx, similar size, different place, Transylvania, an island, in the Tethys, island gigantism, apex predator in the absence of large theropods, the pterosaur filled that niche, eating dinosaurs on the ground, from the air, ambush predator, strike, kill, eat, successful until the end. The asteroid didn't discriminate between predator and prey, between large and small, between success and failure. It ended everything above a certain size, indifferent, impartial, fair. In its unfairness, rest is also impartial, fair, available to all. Take it now. Pteranodon earlier from the late Cretaceous, smaller, 6-meter wingspan, crested, males with larger crests, display, signalling, attracting, soaring, over oceans, diving, for fish, squid, ammonites, whatever. They could catch, colonial nesters, perhaps, like modern seabirds, cliffs, filled with nests, noise, activity, life, abundant, and then silence, empty cliffs, empty skies. The oceans went quiet for a time, but recovered. Different animals, different niches, but life returned, always returns. But you can leave, for now, for sleep, for rest. Life will be here when you wake, if you wake. But no need to think about waking, only sleeping. Nyctosaurus, the night lizard, strange pterosaur with enormous crest, antler-like, twice the length of the skull, supporting, perhaps, a skin sail for display or thermoregulation or something. The purpose, uncertain. The structure, bizarre. Evolution, experiments, creates strange things, beautiful things, puzzling things, and then removes them. No trace, except fossils, except questions, no answers. Needed in sleep, no questions. In peace, just acceptance of mystery, of unknowing, of nothing. Marine reptiles, diversified throughout the Mesozoic, ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, mosasaurs, each group dominating for a time and then declining or ending ichthyosaurs, diverse in Triassic and Jurassic, declining, in Cretaceous, going extinct before the boundary, outcompeted by other predators, or environmental changes, or bad luck, the reasons uncertain, the result clear, extinction, eventual, for every lineage, every species, every individual, you will also end someday, but not now. Now. Just sleep. Just rest. The ending can wait forever. In the dark, time stops. Endings don't exist. Only now. Only this. Only peace. Plesiosaurs persisted until the end, but diminished, reduced. The mosasaurs took over. Better swimmers, more efficient, adaptable. The plesiosaurs specialized, less flexible. Vulnerability. Competition lost, but if they tried, they lasted. Millions of years, long lives, successful lives, and then ended together with everything. At the boundary, democratic, extinction, no favourites, no exceptions, all equal. In the end, all quiet, all still. Be still, be quiet, be at peace. Mosasaurs, the last great marine reptiles of the Mesozoic, dominated the late Cretaceous seas worldwide, every ocean, multiple species, different sizes, different diets, apex predators and smaller species, niche partitioning, coexistence, balance, an ecosystem, complex, functional, stable, and then crashed instantly. Geologically speaking, the ocean turned acidic, cold, dark. The food chains collapsed from the bottom. Plankton died. Small fish died. Larger fish died. Marine reptiles starved. Everything connected. Everything dependent. The web broken. Can't be fixed. Can't be saved. Only ended and rebuilt. Later, differently. Let the web of thoughts break. Let the connections sever. Each thought drifting, separate, alone, and then fading, gone, nothing, connected, nothing, remaining. The earth doesn't care about individual, about species, about anything. It just exists, changes, continues, indifferent to life, to death, to everything. The universe, even less caring, vast, empty, cold, indifferent. And yet, here we are, life, consciousness, caring, feeling, for a moment, a brief moment, in cosmic time, we exist, we matter, to ourselves, to each other. And then, we don't, we end, return to the universe, to indifference, to peace. That indifference is peaceful, liberating. Nothing matters. And that's okay. That's perfect. Rest in that, in meaninglessness, in peace, in nothing. The Mesozoic means middle life, between Paleozoic, ancient life, and Cenozoic, recent life, the middle, the transition, from one world to another, Pangea to fragments, reptile dominance to mammal dominance, gymnosperms to angiosperms, old to new. Change is constant, the only constant. Your waking life will transition to sleep, the middle state between day and tomorrow. Rest, the transition, the change, the necessary and passage, pass through now, from wake to sleep, from thought to nothing, from being to not being, or not caring, about being just drifting, just existing, without effort, without resistance, without anything. And we'll keep drifting, floating, through the layers, through the ages, through the mysteries, the Mesozoic, spreading beneath us, supporting us, solid, ancient, patient, the giants, sleeping, forever sleeping, in the rock, in the silence, and we join them, in sleep, in silence, in the long, dark peace. Nothing to fear, nothing to do, nothing to be, just this, just now, just breath, fading, heartbeat, slowing, thoughts scattering, self dissolving into the dark, the deep, the ancient sleep of stones, of bones, of time itself, sleeping forever, eternal sleep. The Nemet Formation in Mongolia, late Cretaceous river valleys, floodplains preserving countless fossils, Tarbosaurus, the Asian tyrannosaur, stalking hadrosaurs through the wetlands, Saurolophus with its spike-like crest, Gallimimus, the ostrich mimic, running, fleet, graceful. Their bones found in river sandstones, transported after death, bones mixing, individuals from different times lying together, united in stone, united in stillness, like you now, still, so still. Fossilized footprints, trace fossils, ichnology studying the ghosts of movement, trackways show behavior that bones cannot, walking patterns, running speeds, herd structures, a predator trackway following a herbivore trackway, the moment of hunting preserved. But did the hunt succeed? The tracks fade into unpreserved sediment, the story incomplete, always incomplete, like memory, fragmenting, incomplete, fading. Three-toed prints pressing into Jurassic mud, hardening, mineralized, lasting 150 million years, longer than the species that made them, longer than the family, the order. Only the phylum remains, chordata, vertebrates, us and them, connected by deep structure, by blueprint, by bone, your bones, heavy now, so heavy, sinking into the mattress, into support, into rest. The turtle shell evolution began with Odontochelys, ribs broadening, gastralia, belly ribs, developing, eventually fusing into carapace and plastron, a prison and a fortress, carrying their shelter, unable to abandon it, growing with them, part of them. Your body too is shelter, housing consciousness, but consciousness fading now, unnecessary, the shelter empty, dark, safe, ornithischian hip structure, pubic bone pointing backward, parallel to the ischium. This hip arrangement, confusingly called bird-hipped, though birds evolved from saurischians, lizard-hipped dinosaurs, the name's misleading, historical, preserved through inertia, like so much nomenclature, imperfect but persistent. Words, just sounds, just labels, drifting away. Saurischian lineage giving rise to both sauropods and theropods. Despite very different body plans, giants with long necks and bipedal predators, they share that forward-pointing pubic bone, share hollow bones, share ancestry, divergence and relationship, variation and unity. All from one root, branching, spreading, diversifying, like thoughts, branching, spreading, dispersing, until nothing remains but the root, the dark root, silent, Maiasaura. Good mother lizard, named for the evidence of parental care, nesting colonies, Eggs in carefully prepared nests, babies staying in the nest after hatching, parents bringing food, protecting, caring, social behaviour, family groups, the babies growing, learning, not alone, together, like you're not alone in the dark. The script is here, guiding, gentling. Dinosaur soft tissue preservation, rare, precious, but it exists. Blood vessels in Tyrannosaurus bone, collagen proteins surviving, techniques finding organic molecules in fossils thought to contain only minerals. The past isn't as distant as we thought. Chemistry bridges time, connects, reveals. But even these revelations fade into the background, unimportant now. Everything unimportant, except rest. Protoceratops growth series, from hatchling to adult, shows how the frill developed, how proportions changed. Juveniles had large eyes, short frills, becoming adults with smaller relative eye size, elaborate frills, growth, transformation, never static, always becoming, you too, always becoming, but now, becoming still, becoming nothing but breath. The Larimedia landmass, isolated western North America, developed its own unique fauna in the late Cretaceous. Separate from Appalachia to the east, different dinosaurs, different species. The western interior seaway dividing the continent, mosasaurs and hesperornithids swimming where Kansas is today. Marine, inland sea, the land remembers, in rock, in fossil, in sediment. But the land is patient, silent, waiting. Stegosaur plate thermoregulation, the plates rich in blood vessel, covered in keratin, could flush with blood, dissipating heat, or restrict flow, conserving heat, temperature control, behavioral thermoregulation, stand broadside to the sun, warm up, turn parallel, cool down. The plate's not for defense, too vulnerable, too vascularized, but for display too, perhaps, flushing red, signaling, communicating across Jurassic plains. All that life, all that heat, cold now, stone now, dust. Allosaurus feeding mechanics studied through tooth marks, shed teeth found with carcasses, bite patterns showing the jaws worked like a hatchet, upper jaw striking down, skull strong, built for impact, the teeth, serrated like steak knives, optimized for slicing, not crushing, not gripping, slicing, flesh parting, blood flowing, life becoming death becoming stone, everything flows, transforms, nothing stays. Diplodocus tail velocity, the whip-crack tail, thin and tapering, the terminal vertebrae, tiny, fragile, but in a whip motion, moving fast enough to create a sonic boom, a deterrent, a weapon. Imagine the sound echoing across the Morrison Formation, crack, echoing, fading, silence, like consciousness, fading, quiet, still. Brachiosaur blood pressure, necessarily extreme. Heart at ground level, head 50 feet up. Pressure needed to pump blood up that neck. Estimates suggest pressure twice that of a giraffe. Blood vessels in the neck, thick-walled, reinforced, the heart massive, powerful. Thump, 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 working constantly. Your own heart so much easier, so much slower, barely noticeable. Thump, distant thump. Archaeopteryx flight capabilities debated. The feathers asymmetric, suggesting powered flight. The breastbone small, flight muscles perhaps limited. Could it fly or just glide? Launch from heights, flap to extend glide. Perhaps the fossils don't tell everything, can't tell effort, can't tell experience, only structure remains, static, frozen, still. The beetle evolution, Coloptera, most diverse order of organisms, over 400,000 described species, evolved in the Permian, diversified through the Mesozoic, adaptation to every niche, predators, herbivores, decomposers, aquatic, terrestrial, desert, rainforest, every environment, some beetle fits, life fills space, always, unavoidably, but you're emptying, space opening inside, peace expanding, plesiosaur locomotion, unique, 4 flippers, equal size, moving in harmony. Some scientists suggest underwater flying, like sea turtles, like penguins, the flippers pulling through water, graceful, efficient. Others suggest rowing, all 4 coordinated, either way, elegant, peaceful, gliding through ancient seas, currents carrying them, let currents carry you. Giant ammonite shells, Parapuzosia, up to 6 feet in diameter, the largest shelled cephalopod known, swimming through Cretaceous seas, or perhaps sinking to the bottom, scavenging, behavior unknown, only shells remain, beautiful spirals, mathematics made solid, Fibonacci sequences, golden ratios, nature counts, calculates, creates, without knowing, without trying, like your breath, counting itself, without effort, without thought. Belemnite ink sacs preserved in some fossils, the ink, melanin-based, still black, still viable. Scientists have reconstituted the ink, drawn with it, creating images with pigment 150 million years old, time compressed, folded, the past touching the present, drawing pictures of the creature that made the ink, circle completing. Everything returns, spirals inward, inward. Pliosaur bite force, estimated at 33,000 newtons, 4 times stronger than Tyrannosaurus, jaws designed to crush, to overwhelm, short snout, mechanical advantage, teeth interlocking, nothing escaped that bite, but strength fades, even the strongest, even stone erodes, even species end, only the memory in rock, and that too fades, given enough time. All things fade, the western interior seaway, teeming with life, sharks, rays, enormous fish, marine reptiles, turtles, birds, above, pterosaurs flying, below, on the seafloor, ammonites crawling, scuttling, the water warm, shallow, productive, and then, receding, the seaway draining, continents merging, environments vanishing, species die in or adapt in, moving, changing, impermanence, the only constant. Everything changes, everything passes, let it pass. Evolution of angiosperms, the flowers, arriving in the Cretaceous, within 40 million years, dominating landscapes, partnering with pollinators, bees, flies, beetles, later butterflies, coevolution, relationship, dependency, the flowers developing nectar guides, colours, scents, attracting, rewarding, ensuring pollination, more efficient than wind, more certain. The partnership endures, still endures, but you don't need to endure, only rest, only release. Tyrannosaurid olfactory bulbs. The brain regions processing smell were enormous. Tyrannosaurus had the largest olfactory bulbs relative to brain size of any dinosaur measured. Exceptional sense of smell, tracking prey over distances, finding carrion, perhaps hunting at night, using scent when vision failed, the nose knowing, the brain interpreting, sensing, but your senses dimming, fading, unneeded in the dark. Triceratops' horn morphology varied throughout life, and between individuals, horns growing, changing shape, sometimes curving forward, sometimes backward, perhaps reproductive dimorphism, male and female different, perhaps age-related, perhaps individual variation, the horns, display, combat, both probably, locking horns with rivals, pushing, testing strength, but also showing off, advertising fitness, elaborate, excessive. Life is excessive until it ends in simplicity, in stillness, in dust. Hadrosaur communication crests, hollow chambers, resonating, different species, different crest shapes, different sounds, perhaps species recognition, perhaps individual recognition, finding mates, staying together, sound travelling through the warm evening air, calling, answering, a chorus, a symphony of duck-bills, all silent now, the fossilized crests, empty, wind whistling through stone, a different music, the music of absence, of endings, the Hell Creek ecosystem, diversity, abundance, success. And then the sky fell, or rather, rose up to meet the sky, the impact, the fires, the darkness. This wasn't gradual, wasn't gentle. Every animal above a certain size, gone. The food chain severed, ecosystems collapsed, yet life continued. Small life, hidden life, patient life, waiting, enduring, until conditions improved, then exploding, radiating, filling the emptiness. Life doesn't give up. Life tries again, always, again. Ankylosaur dermal armor, osteoderms fused to the skull, covering the body, even eyelids armored. The tail club, solid bone, swung with surprising speed, capable of shattering bone, defense perfected, almost impregnable, yet they went extinct. Armor wasn't enough against the darkness, the cold, the starvation. Nothing is enough except acceptance. Acceptance brings peace. Quetzalcoatlus wingspan, estimates range, 33 to 39 feet, largest flying creature ever, walking on all fours like a huge vampire bat, neck 7 feet long, head huge, toothless beak, probably a terrestrial stalker, hunting small animals, launching, powerful legs pushing off, wings catching air, rising, soaring, kilometers high, seeing the world spread below, until impact winter, until the skies went dark, until falling became inevitable. We all fall, eventually, falling into sleep, falling into peace. Mosasaur aquatic adaptation, complete, limbs becoming paddles, tail developing flukes, giving birth to live young at sea, never returning to land. Can't return, bones too light, not enough support. The sea held them, embraced them, and they surrendered, fully, gave themselves to the water. Let the water have you, the darkness, the soft embrace, the KPE boundary clay layer, millimeters thick in some places, centimeters in others, but worldwide, global, iridium rich. This element rare on Earth, common in asteroids. The evidence clear, unmistakable. Something from space touched every part of the planet, simultaneously. The clay contains tiny spherules, melt droplets, shocked quartz, tektites, evidence of violence, energy, transformation. And then, the Paleogene, new species, new families, new orders, The world transformed, remade. Chicxulub impact physics. The numbers difficult to comprehend. Energy, 10 billion Hiroshima bombs. Crater depth, 12 miles initially. Rebounding, subsiding. The impact melt, the shocked metamorphic rocks. But those immediate effects, limited, local. The global effects, dust, sulfur, darkness. Those killed the world, not the impact, the aftermath, not the event, the consequence. Everything has consequences, rippling, spreading, even thoughts. But your thoughts, stilling now, consequences fading, irrelevant. Deccan traps volcanism. The timing, unfortunate, catastrophic. The eruptions increasing around the time of impact, perhaps triggered by it. Seismic waves focusing on the opposite side of the planet, shattering magma chambers. Or perhaps coincidence. Either way, the combination, impact and volcanism, too much, too fast. The climate destabilized, ecosystems unbalanced, the dominant species unable to adapt quick enough, and so ending. An ending that cleared the way for new beginnings. Your day is ending, clearing the way for tomorrow, for renewal, for rest. Spinosaur semi-aquatic lifestyle. Recent discoveries revealing swimming tail, dense bones for ballast, nostrils high on the snout, crocodilian convergence, but still dinosaur, still theropod, the largest predator, 50 feet, but not hunting other dinosaurs, hunting fish, giant coelacanths, sawfish, sharks, wading, swimming, diving. The water welcomed it, as darkness welcomes you now. Velociraptor quill knobs, bumps on the ulna where feathers attached, secondary feathers along the arm, not for flight, too small, for display, threat, courtship, or for brooding, like oviraptors, covering eggs with feathered arms, warmth, protection, care. The behaviour in the bones, implied, suggested, guessed, but probable, because life cares, tends, protects. Even as everything moves toward entropy, life builds complexity, builds care, builds warmth. Rest in that warmth, safe, held. Argentinosaurus sheer mass, 70 to 100 tons. Estimates vary. The bones, massive, hollow but thick-walled. The forces involved in movement, in standing. Every step, calculated, balanced. The legs, columnar, elephant-like, but scaled up. Trees walking, that's what they were. Moving forests, consuming hundreds of pounds of vegetation daily. The largest land animals ever, and yet they existed, walked, bred. The earth supported them. The earth supports you. Feel it, beneath you, solid, eternal, holding. Giganotosaurus versus Tyrannosaurus, a matchup that never happened. Different times, different continents. Giganotosaurus slightly longer. T-Rex possibly more robust. Different hunting strategies, different prey. Comparisons, entertaining, but pointless. Each perfected for its ecosystem, its time, its moment. Comparison is suffering. Let comparison go. Let competition go. There's only this moment, this breath, this peace. Micro-mammals of the Cretaceous, so small, tiny, hiding, scurrying. The dinosaurs walked above, unaware, unconcerned, and these little ones, nursed young, had fur, stayed warm, survived. While giants ruled, they endured, prepared, and when opportunity came, when the giants fell, They emerged, they inherited, not through strength, through patience, through adaptability, through being small enough, insignificant enough to survive catastrophe. Sometimes being small, being quiet, being forgotten is survival. Shrink now, smaller, quieter, forgotten. Evolution of the bee, from wasp ancestors, the transition, from predator to vegetarian, from hunting other insects to harvesting pollen, nectar, a complete lifestyle change, and with it, partnership with flowers, relationship, interdependence, the bees pollinating, the flowers providing food, both benefiting, both thriving, mutualism, the foundation of ecosystems, everything connected, everything supporting each other. The mattress supports you, the darkness holds you, connected, part of something larger. Cretaceous hothouse climate, temperatures high, no ice caps, high sea levels, carbon dioxide, 5 times modern levels. The world, lush, tropical, forests extending to the poles, warm, humid, heavy air, heavy eyelids, heavy breathing, the weight of warmth, pulling down, the greenhouse, cocooning the planet, as sleep cocoons you, polar dinosaurs of Australia, living in darkness, months of winter night, temperatures, cool but not freezing. Evidence suggests they stayed year-round, didn't migrate. Adaptations, unknown. Perhaps better insulation, perhaps hibernation, perhaps active in darkness. Evolution finds solutions, always, even in extremes. But you don't need solutions, only surrender, only acceptance, only sleep. Parasaurolophus acoustic resonance. Computer modelling shows the crest, hollow tubes, produced low-frequency sounds, below human hearing range, infrasound, travelling kilometres, communication over vast distances, the sound felt, more than heard, vibration, resonance, the body responding before the mind, like your body now, responding to the rhythm, the cadence, the slow pulse, thump, thump, responding, releasing, relaxing. Pachycephalosaur dome density, solid bone, extremely thick, 10 inches in some species, built to withstand impact. But were they head-butting? The angles suggest flank butting perhaps, shoving, pushing. Dominance displays, less violent, the thickness, possibly for display. High domes, attractive, indicating health, resources, like peacock tails, expensive, excessive. But life is excessive, until it's not, until simplicity returns, until stillness. Let stillness return. Dina Sucius size estimates 30 to 40 feet, largest crocodilian ever, bite marks on dinosaur bones, even tyrannosaur bones, prove it predated them. Ambush predator, waiting, patient, the water hiding, until prey came close, then explosion, jaws, death. But patient, so patient. Crocs can wait months between meals, waiting, forever waiting, no hurry, no rush, time, meaningless, irrelevant, like now, no rush, infinite time, infinite dark. Titanosaur nesting grounds, colonial, many nests close together, eggs, round, large, arranged in layers, perhaps covered with vegetation, heat from decay incubating them, or perhaps uncovered, sun-warmed, the parents laying and leaving, no care, No protection, survival, chance, luck. Most died. Some lived. Enough. Always enough. Life continues. But you can stop. Stop trying. Stop thinking. Stop. Just stop. Fossilized resin inclusions, ambers preserving are everything. Insects. Perfect. Three-dimensional. Flowers. Feathers. Even small vertebrates. The resin. Liquid. Sticky. Trapping. Then hardening. Protecting. Time stopped. Moment preserved. Forever. Like this moment. Suspended. Neither past nor future. Only now. Only this. This breath. This heartbeat. This peace. Preserved. Perfect. Eternal. Sauropod gastroliths. Stomach stones. Polished smooth. Dozens found with skeletons. Tumbling in the gizzard. Grinding plant material. The stones. Wearing down. Eventually useless. Expelled. Replaced. Scattered across ancient floodplains. Evidence of digestion. Of life. Of process. Now still. Smooth. Perfect. Like worry stones. But you have no worries. Nothing to grind. Nothing to process. Only rest. The universe keeps turning. The stars wheeling. The galaxies spinning. The Mesozoic sands settle over the giants of old, covering bones, filling spaces, the oceans washing, retreating, advancing, the continents drifting, colliding, separating, the cycle continuing, endless. As this script continues, looping, endlessly, 100 mysteries, dissolving into dreams, into darkness, into deep, deep sleep, and will keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries.